Friends, what just happened inside the Florida court regarding the case of Joseph Duggar from the Duggar family is honestly unbelievable. The May 18th hearing suddenly took such dramatic turns that, within moments, the ground almost slipped from under Joseph's defense team and lawyers. And today, I've brought you some explosive inside updates that will truly leave you stunned. Well, friends, do you know why the judge suddenly put full focus on the upcoming July 14th date? What secret documents, or what kind of evidence, came out during this May hearing that has now pushed Joseph's lawyers under serious legal pressure? Were they unable to properly answer the judge's tough questions? Or is some major legal disaster now waiting for Joseph on July 14th? In today's video, I'll show you an exclusive insider report about what really happened inside that courtroom on May 18th. And honestly, you probably won't hear these details anywhere else. So don't skip even a single second of this video, because today, you're going to hear some shocking twists that could completely change your opinion about this entire case. And friends, before we go further, tell me something in the comments. What do you think about this July 14th deadline set by the judge? Do you think Joseph could finally get trapped legally this time? Share your opinion below. And if you enjoy these deep investigative updates, then quickly like the video and share it with your friends too. Alright friends, now let's look at what's really happening inside the Florida court. Just 2 days ago, the court officially pushed the case forward once again. And now, all attention is focused on the next major pretrial hearing, scheduled for July 14, 2026. Now technically, this may not be the final trial date, but this hearing could decide everything that happens after this point. And honestly, this is interesting, because for weeks, people following the case kept wondering whether the court would delay things again, or finally move more aggressively toward trial. But after the latest hearing, it now feels like the judge wants this case to move forward. At this moment, Joseph Duggar is still maintaining his innocence, which means the defense team is preparing to fight the charges directly in court, instead of trying to negotiate any immediate settlement. And legally, that changes the entire strategy heading into the summer months. One thing that's really noticeable here is how much attention these pretrial hearings are getting. Normally, most viewers only care about the final trial date. But in high-profile cases involving reality TV families like the Duggars, these pretrial hearings can actually become just as important. Because behind the scenes, this is where lawyers battle over evidence, deadlines, witnesses, and court restrictions. Sometimes, the biggest courtroom fights actually begin long before a jury is even selected. Now, according to the court's public discussions surrounding the May 18th hearing, Judge Brantley Clark officially scheduled another major pretrial hearing for July 14th. That gives both sides a few more weeks to prepare documents, review evidence, and argue over procedural issues. And honestly, this timing matters a lot. Why? Because extra time can either help or hurt both sides. For the plaintiffs, more time means they can organize evidence more carefully and strengthen their case. But for the defense, extra time becomes important if they want to challenge evidence, question procedures, or slow down the pace of the case. And I honestly think that's one big reason why so many viewers are already watching this July hearing very closely. People want to know, is the defense preparing for a serious courtroom fight? Or are they simply trying to buy more time? Another major topic people keep discussing online is the reported bail amount connected to this case, which many reports say is around $600,000. Court observers believe the defense will likely continue trying to keep the current bail conditions in place, instead of allowing stricter restrictions before trial. And this matters for a very important reason. Because bail conditions can affect everything: travel rules, contact restrictions, and even daily life outside the courtroom. In serious legal cases, judges often review whether the existing conditions are still appropriate as the case continues moving forward. And honestly, this is where public attention becomes even more intense. Every new hearing gives the judge another opportunity to review the progress of the case. So if prosecutors raise concerns, or request tougher restrictions, the defense team has to respond immediately. I also think timing is becoming very important now. July 14th honestly isn't that far away anymore. Which means legal paperwork, filings, and preparations are probably already happening quietly behind closed doors. And while the public only sees short updates from the court, lawyers on both sides are usually working non-stop during this stage. One thing that keeps appearing again and again in online discussions is how divided public opinion has become. Some viewers believe the defense is simply using its normal legal rights and preparing properly for trial. But others feel frustrated because the repeated delays and long hearings make people feel like they're still waiting for clear answers. And honestly, this kind of split reaction is very common in high-profile cases, especially when reality TV families are involved. The Duggars have already been in the public spotlight for years. So naturally, every legal update instantly becomes part of a much larger online conversation. And it's actually interesting, because when a famous family becomes involved in court drama, even small procedural updates suddenly turn into national headlines. Unlike a normal local case, this one is now being followed across the country by viewers, YouTube creators, bloggers, and entertainment media outlets. Another thing many people are watching closely is whether the July hearing could finally clarify the timeline for the main trial itself. Right now, there's still uncertainty about how quickly the court truly wants to move. Sometimes, pretrial hearings simply end with another future date being scheduled. But other times, these hearings become turning points where judges suddenly impose much tighter deadlines. And that's important for one major reason. Because once the court officially locks in deadlines, both sides lose flexibility. The closer a case gets to trial, the harder it becomes to request major delays, unless there are very strong legal reasons. And honestly, I think that's exactly why this upcoming hearing suddenly feels far more important than the earlier ones. The pressure is building. And as the possibility of trial gets closer, public curiosity keeps growing too. At the same time, many viewers are also trying to understand what really happens during the pretrial process. Most people hear words like motions, hearings, or bond conditions, but they don't always realize how powerful those steps actually are. Because in reality, these legal steps can completely shape the outcome of an entire case. Arguments over evidence, disputes about witnesses, battles over schedules, negotiations between legal teams. All of this happens long before the dramatic courtroom scenes people usually expect from a trial. And in Joseph Duggar's case, These next few weeks could decide how aggressively both legal teams prepare before July 14 arrives. I've also noticed many viewers online asking whether the July hearing could include any major rulings directly from the judge. Technically, yes. Pretrial hearings absolutely can include decisions on motions or procedural disputes. But it's also important not to jump too quickly toward dramatic conclusions before anything officially happens. Courts usually move carefully, especially in high-profile cases like this one. And that's exactly why separating confirmed court information from internet rumors becomes so important. For now, the confirmed facts are actually very simple. After the May 18 proceedings, the court officially scheduled the next major pretrial hearing for July 14, 2026. And both sides are now preparing for the next stage of this case. And honestly, that alone is enough to keep public attention locked onto this story for the next several weeks. Because now, there's finally a fixed date on the calendar. A real deadline. And the pressure is slowly rising on everyone involved. Now the biggest question is this. Will July 14 simply move the process forward once again? Or will this become the hearing where the court finally signals just how close this case really is to trial? And honestly, friends, this is exactly the part that viewers will now be watching very closely over the coming months.